Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome to lecture 38. In this lecture we are going to discuss a very important element in your urban management, that is traffic and transportation management. You might have seen that whenever we work in any urban areas or cities, the first problem which is cited by the people for any planning process or otherwise, that is the traffic problem, because most of the cities are having congested roads, lack of public transportation, lack of other transportation modes, and overall the transportation and traffic is unorganized and unplanned, and as a result people suffer a lot. So, if this is a problem and you are working in the urban sector, definitely it is a very important task that you know the features of the traffic and transportation and some cases, so that when you work you can tackle the problem or you address the problem in a better way. So, let us see the traffic and transportation management. So, the background and significance will be discussed today's lecture, and some of the elements, basic elements will be discussed in today's lecture. The next lecture will discuss the will show some practices so that you can understand. So, today we will have some theoretical discussions on the overview of the traffic management. Now, in 74th Amendment Act, you have seen that the roads and bridge and the traffic is also included in the 18 work of the 12th schedule. But the reason why the traffic is not addressed in a better way, because the urban local bodies, they do not have the adequate capacity to understand and to make a plan for it and to develop the roads and infrastructure or the public transportation, except few larger cities who have already the prior public transportation, and recently they have been doing some other modes of the public transportation like metro rail, etc. This second tier, third tier or the lower or small medium towns, they lack all this facility. For this reason, the Government of India time to time they have taken many initiatives and actions to improve the traffic and transportation sector. Apart from the codes, the improvement of the codes and standards, they have taken National Urban Transportation Policy, they have taken so many actions. So, this is the significant and the background for the transportation. Another important feature in this time is that since all the cities are growing phenomenally and they are facing the migration from the neighboring village or neighboring areas, as a result the concentration or the pressure on the urban road is huge, and mostly our more than 90% of the areas are organically grown, and those are having narrow streets or narrow roads. So, unless a proper planning, proper organization in a systematic manner is done with a efficient traffic management team and tools in place, you cannot address the traffic and transportation problem. So, let us see the elements of the traffic and transportation management. So, traffic and transportation is the planning, monitoring and control of the traffic. So, there are 2-3 elements. One is the planning, how you can plan, you can foresee the requirement, the type of requirement, diversity of the requirement of the city and the traffic, and you can plan for it, you can give the provision for those, and then you can monitor the development and the traffic, and you can control the flow or the effect of the traffic. That is what is included in the overall traffic management word, and it aims to maximize the effectiveness of the use of existing infrastructure. This is applicable for our existing city, ensure reliable and safe operation of the transportation. So, this is applicable for the public transport. So, basically here the term is operation. You have seen that many municipalities or many cities, they might have the public transportation, but it is very inefficient because of their lack of knowledge or skill to operate that public transportation in a better way. So, that is also required. So, next is the address the environmental goals. Because of the unplanned traffic and transportation system, the cases of pollutions, congestion, all these are there, and this amounts to a bad environment, undesired condition in the environment, that also need to be addressed through the traffic management. And also it ensure the fair allocation of the infrastructure space. In your cities, how much space is allocated for the in the road, how much space is allocated for the differently able people or handicapped people, how much space is allocated for the poor, how much space is allocated for the children or the senior citizens. Can a senior citizens and a children, they can walk freely in your city? Can they take public transportation easily? Most of the cases the answer will be no. The most of the cities in India, we do not have dedicated pedestrian path. If the pedestrian path is there, it is either inadequate in terms of width or the quality, or it is discontinued. After some time it is discontinued and people cannot take that pedestrian path to reach to another destination from another origin point. So, those are the problems occurred, and as a result there is a frequent conflict in the road space between the vehicular and the non-vehicular mode, vehicular traffic and the non-vehicular traffic like pedestrians. So, as a result there are accidents, there are undesired conditions, casualty, etc. So, these has to be addressed through the traffic management. Now, let us see the elements of the traffic management. There are 6 elements which we cover within the traffic management. First is the traffic information, second is the traffic control, incident management, demand management, driver support and monitoring, and fleet management. You can understand that demand management pertains to the planning, the incident, traffic control and information, all these are basically real time management, and this is also part of planning and capacity building. And also the fleet management. Now, let us see one by one how this affects the traffic management. The traffic information is very important. When you come to your streets, you see that you want a convenient transport mode for you, but you do not know what kind of transport modes are available on that city. So, first is the information, the type of the modes available to that city through the online or the other medias that has to be available for the common citizens before they come to the street. Number 1, that is number 1. Number 2, when they come to the street, the level of information in terms of the wayfindings or the signals or the write-ups should be there as per the codes and standards, so that they can understand, they can identify the right kind of mode and they can choose from that. You can see some of the pictures I have shown that this picture showed the message for reducing speeds, because construction ahead, they can show the bus information like that, what kind of buses are available starting from the time and the platform. There could be information for in the road which are there in a Indian road. So, this is only a indicative in nature. So, these informations are required in our Indian cities. So, information for road users before and after the travel, that is what is required. And this information not only about the navigability or the mode, it is also required that information regarding the ticketing, regarding the fare, regarding the interfaces, regarding the origin, destinations, and the interoperability of the different modes. For example, if a person want to travel through bus and then get down and take another mode like metro rail, what is the interface between these two mode? In practical cases, we have seen that in cities like New Delhi or any other cities, from metro rail to the suburban rail or from metro rail to the bus, sometimes it is difficult to identify that the where to go, how to go. So, that navigability is important, that can be ensured through the right kind of information and the wayfindings before they travel and after they travel, and during the travel also they can be available. Second is the traffic control. Now, by and large the traffic is unorganized and irregular, and they need to be controlled in a better way in terms of showing their control signs, some control signs, the dedicated paths, the traffic management instructions which can be shared early for the vehicles and non-vehicular transportation. So, for example, when your city faces tremendous traffic during the peak hours, there could be situations like you have to divert the traffic through different ways. You can make the traffic one way, you can make, so several strategies could be taken. So, those strategies could be for controlling the traffic need to be intimated to the people through various medias, and also on ground. In this picture you can see that a traffic police is managing the traffic by using various kind of notation. So, this may not be sufficient. So, this kind of real time information in the road, so real time physical information info and also some other proactive information is required. In today's time we use various apps for taking hired vehicles. So, this kind of technologies also can be used to give the appropriate information for controlling the traffic, and if we can do that, the most of the problems can be managed. So, for controlling the traffic there are methods like channelizing the traffic, segregation of the vehicular non-vehicular mode, the making the one way or the diverse or multiple way of the circulation, making a dedicated path for some particular traffic. Those kind of arrangements are done for the controlling the traffic. Second is the incident management. Apart from the controlling the traffic, there could be undesired incidents like say accidents. So, for the accidents it is important to detect the accidents, how you handle the accident and how you eliminate the accident. In most of the cases we have seen that in Indian cities mostly if there is an accident, it takes lot of time to for the team who rescues the people or who manages the situation. So, every urban local bodies or municipal corporation, they can have a dedicated team who can work in integration with the traffic police altogether, so that they can act accordingly. So, there need to be a integration between the traffic police, municipal authority and the health system. So, so that the incident can be better managed. And another part is that apart from the accident, there could be incidents like disasters or the sudden urban flooding. All those kind of situations also create lot of traffic problems, or sudden high amount of rainfall. So, those kind of situation also sometimes create havoc, traffic jam and congestion. So, those kind of situation could be better managed by the team if there is an integration and adequate knowledge and skill level. The next is the demand management. Now, demand management means if this is 2018, then you estimate the requirement of the traffic for the future. So, in demand management we basically try to estimate the future traffic based on the projected population, and then we try to understand the nature of the traffic from one zone to another zone, and then allocate the transportation mode. So, basically in the demand management we identify the choices and destination, time and mode for the transport or route. And as I have told that in the demand management, it is the estimation of the trips, because trips is the trips are the smallest unit of the of journey from origin to destination. Then so we can estimate the trips, then you can identify the distribution of trips, then we can identify the what kind of modes are there and how those modes can be splitted into various categories. For example, how many trips will be allocated for the bus, how many trips will be allocated for the suburban train or metro railway, or how many trips will be allocated or required for the non-motorized transportation. And after this we assign the transport means. So, in this stage, this is stage 1, 2, 3 and 4. So, in this fourth stage we basically we are estimating the trip generation, then trip distribution, modal split and assign the traffic. So, this is called 4 stage traffic demand modeling. So, this is done by the expert person who are basically traffic and transportation engineer and planner. So, those can be those kind of people can be consulted or can do this kind of job in a better way. So, if you are working in the urban areas, so this action should be taken. Then within this there are various aspects which you should consider, like regulating access or parking. In our cities you will find that the carriageway is often covered by the on street parking, and on street parking affects the effective carriageway of the passing traffic. So, if we can manage the on street parking in some off street parking in a dedicated parking zone, those kind of mechanism can be taken. Then arrangement of park and ride facilities, where people can come, they can park and ride some facilities like amenities or facilities like commercial areas, all those or the public facilities, and they can go from there. So, park and ride facilities should be there for all public buildings or public amenities. Then carpooling facility. In modern cities we discourage the private vehicular ownership in a greater extent. The main objective should be to encourage the public transportation in terms of the metro rail or the light rail, that is tram, or the bus or the suburban railways, so that the transportation can take care large amount of people in a effective manner. Apart from that, there could be the carpooling mechanism, where a single car can take more number of people, so that the people average number of people on a particular vehicle is more, so that the road space is less occupied by the number of vehicle in terms of the vehicle density. So, those kind of mechanism is there. Nowadays most of the taxi service or taxi providers, they also provide the carpooling service. Similarly, for the operation of the government vehicle or the business vehicles, the city can take a strategy on the carpooling. The promoting public transport and pedestrians and bicycle traffic. Now, in our country, the main problem of the public transportation is that the public transportation is done by a transportation company, then bicycle and the non-motorized transportation, that is e-rickshaws or the rickshaws, are not controlled. Some of the cases it is controlled by the unions, and the pedestrians are neglected. So, as a common citizen, you will never find a interface or a user friendly interface between the pedestrians standing zone or the walking zone to the non-motorized transport to the public transports. That is the problem in most of our cities. So, it needs a integration at the organization level, it needs integration at the spatial level, and then providing the traffic information and using peak hour toll and other road use charges. That road is a very costly commodity, even though as a public authority you are taking road tax, but during the peak hour, during the busy hour, if on street parking is there, that has to be given a huge amount of penalty or huge number of parking fees has to be charged. Otherwise a city cannot afford offering or allowing on street parking or on street activity during the peak hours, and that can also generate some amount of revenue for the cities as well. So, traffic management and revenue augmentation both can go hand in hand if we can create innovative methods of traffic management using the incentive and disincentives. So, demand management, we have discussed 4 stage demand management. So, basically here it is the park and ride, your choice, and parking management, that is also important. I have just shown few photographs just for your creation of interest. You can go through various other online sources. Then this next part is the driver support and the monitoring. Now, driver support system, now in our country the drivers, they get the driving license and they come to the road, and they hardly get any kind of further training or the awareness or the counseling in future times, and as a result there are cases of the undesired behavior of the drivers, and drivers, because of their hard driving or undisciplined driving, there are cases of accidents and the deaths. So, that we can avoid if we can use the IT, we can use the communication technology application, we can assistance to the driver, and this can prevent the collision, it can support for lane keeping and navigation system. So, one part is that as a proactive measure, as a preventive measure, you have to give the training and the counseling to the drivers, and another part is that to control real time the drivers behavior and the navigability and the lane driving, you have to make a systems of penalties or controlling using the IT and the computer applications. Then fleet management. The fleet management is equal basically is the planning, monitoring, control and assessment of the movement and operations of the vehicle fleet and its drivers. Now, most of the transport companies in India, they are suffering from the lack of fleet management. Most drivers problems are there, either their fleets are not managed properly, not maintained properly, not operated properly. So, you need significant amount of capital to purchase a certain amount of transport vehicles, but how you use those vehicle in a multiple way, in a rotational basis, and you repair, operate those, maintain those in a proper way. So, unless you do this, a country like India, a nation like India cannot afford buying new and new transport vehicles without repairing in a sustainable basis. So, in municipalities, if you are working in urban sector or corporation and you are planning to make your own transport system, so please think about this fleet management in terms of operation and management and its own sustainability if you really plan for a fleet management for a public transport. So, these are the salient points we discussed in our lecture about the some overview of the sub salient points in traffic management, because traffic management in our cities are very much significant, and because of this we face lot of public image also for our cities. Whenever any foreigners or any prospective investors, they come to our cities and areas, they see the congested areas, traffic jam, signals failures and all those problems are there, and as a result they get a wrong image of the cities, whereas our cities have immense potentiality in terms of the revenue augmentation, in terms of their culture and the tourism potential, but unless we improve and fix the traffic and transportation, we cannot do anything. In the next lecture, we will see some of the practices, how good practices can be there to improve either public transportation, transportation planning, traffic controls, fleet management, drivers behavior, everything. So, we will see some of the practices so that you can get some idea and apply in your own area. So, with this I thank you very much for attending this lecture.